English is crazy. Ugh. Oregano is both a spaghetti leaf topping and a form of paper art.
What is this paper art you speak of?
That shit where you make cranes and stuff out of folded paper.
Dante.
So here's the thing. It's been about a year and a half since I did one of these fancast videos, and what better franchise to use as my return to it than Devil May Cry. I like the games, and I've gotten way more familiar with the lore and characters than the last time I talked about DMC, so I may as well channel that mild obsession with the franchise into a video all about the potential for a live-action Devil May Cry adaptation.
What the hell's wrong with you?
Off the top of my head, I'd say low self-esteem, a lack of paternal affection, and a genetic predisposition for anxiety and depression.
As always, we're going to start out with my rules and criteria for which characters I'm doing and what I'm looking for. I'm going to be looking at 6 characters today, 5 of whom are incredibly important to the game's story and the most prominent playable DMC characters, and one who's a side character that I don't think gets as much respect or attention as she requires and fills a very particular role in this universe that I think we need to be more cognizant of. And since there are so few characters, I'll be returning to the format from the Sonic Fancast of picking 3 actors for each part who could do it, and selecting one who I think should do it. And a unique aspect for this video is that for certain characters, I'll be looking at 2 different age ranges, casting a current and younger version of them. To use our first character as an example, Dante is one that I'll be getting 2 castings. One for a Dante who can play around the age he was in DMC 3, which from what I can find is about 19, and one who can play around his age in DMC 5, which is about his early 40s. If you want to hear about why certain characters are getting double castings and not others, I implore you to check out my Patreon. Patrons for the $5 tier and above get access to this video's companion content, a short pitch for how I'd adapt Devil May Cry into live action. More on that at the end, but for now, let's not waste any more time and start casting the wacky woohoo pizza man himself.
This is a bad idea.
Then why are you coming alone?
I don't know. Someone has to get your injured ass home.
I feel like I don't really need to explain Dante to you, but here we are. I'm gonna do it. Dante is the son of Sparta, and that alone requires a quick bit of backstory. Sparta was a demon swordsman who, 2,000 years ago, awoke to the injustice that his people wrought and purposefully severed the demon world from the human world. He wandered the earth until he met a woman named Eva, settled down, married, and fathered 2 sons, Dante and Vergil. Returning focus to the Sons of Sparta, Dante and Vergil had a fairly chill childhood, especially considering how things would eventually turn out for the pair. They'd spent their childhood living in a remote spot with their parents, practicing the art of combat and bickering like 2 stupid children are wont to do, until their father mysteriously disappeared and died. For a time, Eva raised the boys on her own until demons attacked their home. Dante and Vergil were separated and Eva was killed, protecting Dante and pleading with him to run as far as he could and live a new life under a new name. I won't go through all of Dante's history after this event since there's novels and manga and a bunch of stuff that doesn't quite matter to this discussion. This is a fancast, not a lore breakdown. But to summarize, Dante did honor his mother's wish for a time, moving to a new city and adopting the name Tony Redgrave, spending a few years as a mercenary and eventually opening up a shop to hunt demons under his real name. This is where the canon of the games begins, which mostly revolves around Dante stopping apocalypse after apocalypse and doing battle with Vergil, who survived the attack they face as children and has become a bit of a dick, but we'll get to that later. I don't really want to run through all of Dante's plot because, again, you can go watch a lore breakdown or my series pitch for that, so let's look at Dante's actual character. If I had to describe Dante in a single word, it'd be flippant. Everything he does in Devil May Cry simply screams Devil May Care, because he knows how powerful he really is. The dude can get impaled several times over and walk it off, so why not have a little fun when he's taking down demons? Dante also has a very unique relationship with his own demonic heritage. While he initially resented being half-demon, it's something he comes to accept, though he does maintain some discomfort. Dante also loves a good fight, despite the fact that he almost always holds himself back. But if Dante knows that you're capable of handling his full power, then there's no force in heaven, earth, or hell that could save you. He will cut loose and he's gonna have a hell of a time doing it. Dante is hot, but he has terrible luck with women. Actually, he's got shit luck with anything that isn't related to demon hunting. Dante loves pizza, he loves weapons, he loves putting himself in debt if I had to guess based on how often this dude owes everyone money. And in spite of the very obvious implications of his carefree attitude, Dante does really genuinely care about humanity. Hell, why else would he go into demon hunting and keep fighting Vergil all the time? So that's what we're looking for. Someone who's down to have some fun, carries the idea of power, can get serious when they need to, and can show a caring heart. Like I said, we'll be looking at two different eras of Dante for this, one who can play around his early 20s and one who can play around his early 40s. Let's look at the young Dante first. I've been at Curran Walter's defense for a while. I think he actually gave one of the stronger performances on Titans, despite the material he had to work with not being the best. He's 26, so still young enough that he could feasibly play Dante in his early 20s, and I think what he brought to Jason Todd carries over to Dante. He's a bit reckless, a bit goofy, a bit overconfident, but for the most part he has the skills to back it up. And Walters was able to bring a sense of real pain to Jason, which is something that I think a younger, more inexperienced and raw Dante needs. Luke Eisner is a name I've seen come up on a few lists. Like many of you, I know him because I watched the movie Tall Girl for the bit, and while that movie is not good and he's playing a very cliche character in it, I think he has the confidence I want from a young Dante. It's also worth noting that he is a very good-looking man. I wouldn't say that Dante necessarily has to look like a male model, but I think it plays into the irony of his terrible love life if he does. Not my favorite, but a candidate. But the winner is a name most of you are absolutely familiar with. Dacre Montgomery. Either you know Dacre from Stranger Things, where he played Billy Hargrove, or from the 2017 Power Rangers movie, where he played Jason. In Jason, we see a lot of the things that I want from Dante. Good at what he does, cares about the people around him, confident, complicated relationship with not one but two father figures. Hell, just the scene where he sticks up for Billy is exactly what I want out of a young Dante. He slaps someone, and then when that person says, "Did you just slap me?" Dante is absolutely the guy to chuckle and say, "I did! Weird, right?" before putting him in his place. So I think that alone proves Dacre Montgomery deserves to be young Dante. Looking ahead to the older era of Dante, Jensen Ackles is certainly a choice. He looks like a Dante type and spent years playing a Dante type. A fun-loving hunter of the supernatural with a penchant for surviving impossible odds, which leads to a bit of disconnect in how strong he really is. And it doesn't hurt that my introduction to Ackles was him voicing a leather-clad, dual-pistol-wielding badass with daddy issues, iconic red clothing, and a habit of just saying goofy shit. So yeah, Ackles could do this. And if you really wanted to, I guess you could throw Jared Padalecki in as Vergil just for the reference. Sometimes it works out when actors get cast in adaptations solely on the basis that they had a co-star in a previous project that they'd be playing a similar dynamic with. And on top of that, it'd be kind of fun if one Red Hood played young Dante and another Red Hood played old Dante. The most frequent fan cast I see for Dante is Garrett Hedlund, and I see why. He's a solid actor, he's good in Tron Legacy, checks all the Dante boxes, but I want to talk a little bit more about my final pick, Boyd Holbrook. The guy is a fantastic actor, and the two major things I know him for seal the deal for me. In Logan, you get the confidence, swagger, and charm. Even when he's lost all control of the situation, he carries it like he could drop Wolverine at any moment. And despite how much I hate the Predator, he did get to lean more into the action, the side of Dante that would be more serious cool than goofy cool. So Boyd Holbrook is, without a doubt, my Dante. So with our protagonist set in stone, let's turn our attention to the main antagonist.
I bet you can't make a sentence without the letter A.
You thought you just did something there, didn't you? Foolishness, Nero. Numerous sentences to be constructed without employing the first letter of the English lexicon.
Simple! Fuck you.
Kind of the same way I don't think I need to explain Dante to you, I feel like I need to explain Vergil even less. Partly because I feel like Vergil has become a far bigger meme and thus cultural icon than Dante has, but also because you can get Vergil just from his very iconic theme song, Bury the Light. He is the storm that is approaching, provoking black clouds in isolation. He is reclaimer of his name. Born in flames, he has been blessed, and his family crest is the demon of death. And anyone who knows Vergil's story knows how accurate that theme song is to his life. Where Dante was saved by his mother and told to run, Vergil had to fight the demons himself, and it was only his own demonic power that allowed him to do so. This led to the core ideological difference between the brothers. Where Dante has a bitterness towards his demonic heritage and a love for humanity, Vergil loathes his humanity and fully embraces his demonic power. And that experience as a child gave Vergil one goal that guides his every action throughout the series: power. Vergil believes that power is the only thing that truly matters, that without his strength and the ability to protect himself, there is no purpose in life nor peace to be had. Vergil has gone about this pursuit of power in a variety of ways, such as allying with madmen to summon ancient demonic structures, scrapping with the demon king that his father had once sealed away, and most notably, excising his humanity like a cancer, creating the twin personas of V and Urizen. But all that said, Vergil's personal interests don't lie solely in power. It was expanded upon in DMC5 to an extent, but Vergil has a love of literature, specifically poetry, and even more specifically, the works of William Blake. This does kind of act as a shorthand for Vergil's intelligence, though that intelligence is still often hampered by his singular pursuit of power that keeps Vergil stuck with mental blinders. I suppose, ultimately, I'm looking for a Vergil that's cool, collected, and hungry. Hungry for power, which draws from a place of deep insecurity, masked with an icy cold demeanor. Finding a young Vergil was kinda tricky, easily the hardest character to cast in this entire project. Not the first time I've mentioned a cast member from Titans, and certainly not the last, but I think Joshua Orpin could actually be a solid younger Vergil. I was never a huge fan of Superboy in that show, but Orpin played him with some of the qualities I want out of Vergil. He was often reserved, intense, rageful, and insecure. And on top of that, he's 29. Same age as my young Dante Dacker Montgomery. So if we're to believe that these two guys are twins playing younger than their actual age, it would help if they were the same age to start out with. I saw Asa Butterfield come up a few times, and I don't hate it. I'm only really familiar with him because A, he was Ender in Ender's Game, and B, he allegedly lost the Spider-Man role to Tom Holland because he mentioned that he had auditioned and Marvel doesn't like when you bring that kind of stuff up, but I guess he could do it. But the winner for me has to be Will Poulter. I ran this by a friend recently, and the way I explained it was imagine like a blend between Adam Warlock and Galley. Immense power, mommy issues, and intense resentment. On top of that, Poulter is a very versatile actor, one of those guys who zigs when you expect to zag. The fact that he started for most of us as the dorky kid from We're the Millers and is now believably playing Golden Space Jesus is wild, and demonstrates the kind of range that makes me confident that he can do basically anything. Switching gears to an older Vergil, this was a bit easier to cast. Jamie Campbell Bower is absolutely a choice. He's got the feel of Vergil right in the episodes of Stranger Things where he's allowed to act outside of the Vecna costume. He's intimidating, fierce, unafraid of just how powerful he is, and something that I think could make his Vergil unique, he's creepy. He can make you uncomfortable, invade your space from across the room. And as a bonus, if we do Urizen, his Vecna voice is pretty damn close. Ben Barnes shows a lot of promise as well. The guy's a phenomenal actor, and his role as Billy Russo in The Punisher is a standout, especially considering that most of the performances in that show are fantastic. I didn't love Jigsaw's writing, but he delivers on the intensity I expect from a Vergil. But both of those guys pale in comparison to the first one I came up with, Jonathan Groff. The two things I primarily know him from are The Matrix Resurrections and Knock at the Cabin, and man, I can never fully express how great he is in both. His version of Agent Smith is very different from how that character used to be, but I still love it. There's a very different flavor of arrogance in him. He doesn't think he's the most powerful person on the planet, he knows it. And while his back and forth with Neo is a bit quippier than what I expect from Vergil, there's scenes earlier in the film that demonstrate what I'm really looking for. He's chill, biting, and clever, and all of that comes from being fully in control, but he has the capacity to explode. You really see that in Knock at the Cabin, this bitterness that's held back for the most part. The only knock against Groff is the age gap. If we went with the castings I had picked, Poulter is 31 and Groff is 38. Not ideal considering they're playing the same character a few decades apart. I honestly see Poulter as looking a bit younger than his real age, and I think he can still play down from that. Age is tricky like that. Hell, when I was 16, I had a full beard and I had people ask me what college I went to. But I think if we can have Poulter just play a bit younger and Groff play a bit older, they would be my ideal Vergils.
Do you even know what an amulet is?
Of course I do. I eat amulets sometimes. I like the ones with cheese and onions.
Dante, those are omelets.
Oh, and then I've got nothing.
I'm gonna be real. I don't love Trish. Like, I don't hate her, but she's probably my least favorite of the Devil May Cry mainstays. However, her casting does present a unique opportunity, and I'll explain why. Okay, so remember how I said that Sparta was a good demon who separated our world from the demon world? Well, the head demon who was most pissed about this was a guy named Mundus, and he knew that if he tried to rejoin the two worlds, Dante would stop him. So he created a demon who could successfully lure Dante into a trap, and did this by creating her in the image of Dante's late mother Eva. As in, she is identical to Eva, which means that anyone we cast for Trish also needs to play Eva for whatever amount of flashbacks she gets. Despite Trish trying to kill Dante, he saves her life, and when Mundus tries killing Dante, Trish repays the favor by throwing herself in the path of the beam, causing Dante to utter this famous line,
"I should have been the one to fill your dark soul with light!"
Though she eventually got better. From here on, Trish kind of loses a lot of plot relevance, but essentially acts as a freelance demon hunter who works with Dante on bigger jobs where he needs all hands on deck. In terms of personality, we need someone who can play a lot of angles. While working for Mundus, Trish is cold, uncaring, and a bit cruel. Due to Dante's sacrifice, Trish eventually warms up a bit, she becomes a lot more playful and enjoys heckling Dante, and she tends to treat missions like a joke to an even greater extent than Dante does, making little competitions with Dante and Lady in the middle of jobs because it's fun and she's arguably more competent than Dante is, so she's got a license to be more carefree. And while it's not super hard, we do need our Trish to play Eva, which just begets the motherly warmth of any mom character that gets fridged in the protagonist's childhood. One that I see come up a lot is Samara Weaving, and I can absolutely see it. Spitting image of Trish, does a lot of action movies where she plays a more archetypal female action hero, so I wouldn't mind her. The only reason she's not topping my list is that I want to bring some newer actors into the conversation, because Samara's the only one I ever see get discussed. Like, for example, Emily Blunt, who is slowly rising on my list of favorite actors. Trish is essentially the blend of Rita Vertasky's intense badassery with the playfulness of Mary Poppins. Pepper in some of her own natural charm, as well as the motherly warmth of Evelyn from A Quiet Place for the Eva scenes, and Blunt can absolutely capture this character. But the winner for me has been clear as day from the beginning. Allison Williams. She's one of the only ones I could see as being truly cruel during Trish's time with Mundus, and then switching that to an incredibly friendly and cheeky persona once she becomes her own woman. Essentially just her transformation in Get Out played backwards. And on top of that, Gemma in Megan proves that she can bring Eva's maternal energy. The only hitch is that I haven't seen her do action, but stunt coordinators and trainers have had to work with less. And on top of that, I think it's far more important that I believe that she believes she can kill any demon that gets in her way, and the confidence she carries in Get Out's third act is exactly what I'm looking for.
When did you become a hero?
Oh, the moment I saved you from getting killed.
You're the last person on Earth I wanted to rescue me.
Well, sucks to be you, don't it?
On the exact opposite end of the spectrum from Trish, I adore Lady. Easily the character I enjoyed learning the most about after exploring the franchise in depth. Lady is technically the first of Dante's allies we meet in DMC canon, at least just looking at the games. And if you're unfamiliar with the franchise and wondering why this character is just named Lady, well, it wasn't always. Her birth name was Mary Ann Arkham, named by her father, known only as Arkham. Arkham was obsessed with the legend of something called Temin Negru, and in that obsession, killed Kalina Ann, his wife and mother of his child. In that, Mary Ann rejected her name to become a devil hunter. It's in her quest for revenge that she runs into Dante, and in one of the all-time cases of Dante having shit luck with women, she tries to blow him up, and then later he saves her life, and she repays him by shooting him in his fucking face. It's in this ongoing back and forth with Dante that she'd claim a new name, since Dante did not know what to call her, and thus resorted to just referring to her as Lady. And obviously it stuck. Initially, Lady does not get along with Dante. After all, Dante is half demon, and it's Arkham's obsession with demons that led him to kill Lady's mother. But after some adventuring, she warms up to the wacky woohoo pizza man, realizing that he's more than just a demon. Hell, it's actually Lady who coins the name of the franchise and Dante's shop.
Are you crying?
It's only the rain.
The rain already stopped.
The devils never cry.
I see. Maybe somewhere out there, even a devil may cry when he loses a loved one. Don't you think?
From then on, she fulfills a similar role to Trish as an independent devil hunter who occasionally works alongside Dante on larger jobs. She maintains a friendly rivalry with Trish that plays out a lot like Rocket and Peter in the Guardians of the Galaxy game. In terms of personality, Lady is a bit rough around the edges, fierce, and despite being 100% human, she's enough of a badass to keep pace with Dante and Trish, who are both demons. And while Lady at first seems like a senseless badass and is often described as psychotic, there is a serious element of tragedy in her story, and an actor portraying her needs to be able to demonstrate Lady's more subdued, sentimental side. And one important aspect is that Lady is just kind of tired of Dante. Dante has a tendency to be a bit overconfident in just how cool he is, and Lady's always the first one to burst his bubble, so we need someone who can give strong, tired of your shit, but I still like you anyways, energy. As I did with Dante and Vergil, I'm going to be looking at actors for both young and old versions of Lady. Age-wise, I'm looking for about the same age as Dante and Vergil in both instances, someone who can play early 20s and then around early 40s. For the younger Lady, I think Anya Taylor-Joy could work here. She's about the right age, I consider her as being a bit of a rising star, and she's more than capable of doing the action aspect of Lady. Problem is, I think she has an incredibly unique face, which kind of reduces the believability of almost any actor in Hollywood just being an older version of her. I don't have a great explanation for Grace Caroline Curry, I just like her and I think she could do it, and I want her to be in more high-profile movies since the Shazam franchise fell apart. But the winner for me has to be Natalia Dyer. I think it's insane to think that she is almost 30 years old and is still somewhat convincingly playing a teenager. But beyond that, I think season 4 of Stranger Things solidified that she can do something like this. She can believably be a badass, and I get the sense that she's on the way to an action movie that'll set her along the path to play characters a lot like Lady in a lot of action movies when she's done with Stranger Things. But beyond that, there's one unique quality that sold me on Dyer, and it's the fact that she uniquely gets to play the role of female character frequently done with the himbos bullshit. That's Lady to a T, and that's why I think Nat Dyer should play her. But on the subject of the older Lady, I think we've got some pretty good hitters. Jamie Alexander as Sif is already the Lady to Thor's Dante, the badass compatriot of the mildly idiotic male hero who's unimpressed by his shit but still chooses to hang out with him. And at 40, she's the perfect age. In that same vein, I think Keira Knightley could work. Maybe I'm reaching, but just like with Jamie Alexander and Sif, I feel like Elizabeth Swann is the Lady to Jack Sparrow's Dante. Confident, troubled, badass, and tired of this guy's shit. But there is one other actress who's in the right age range and was in an iconic action movie from my childhood where she played a stone-cold badass who was done with this guy's shit, and more importantly, continued to be a great action star who does her own stunts to this day. And her name is Mary Elizabeth motherfucking Winstead. I feel like I don't need to explain this to you, just go watch Birds of Prey and the Fantabulous Emancipation of One Harley Quinn if you have not already. Huntress is everything you want from Lady. Intense, rageful, tired of the idiocy surrounding her, but also a bit somber due to a very tragic upbringing. She's my only real pick for Lady because she's done it before so clearly and precisely.
You need a hobby.
I have a hobby.
Stabbing Dante isn't a hobby.
Rounding out the pantheon of DMC's playable characters, we have Deadweight himself, Nero. Side note, I got to meet Johnny Young Bosch, Nero's voice actor, at a convention earlier this year, and I got to make the deadweight joke to his face, and he was an incredibly good sport about it. But anyways, I find Nero to be a bit of an interesting case, as he's only been in the franchise for the last 2 entries, but has an incredibly high impact on the lore and the fandom. Nero was introduced in DMC 4, and his backstory was kinda interesting just for how he stands out from other DMC protagonists. Nero was raised on the island of Fortuna after being found as a baby by two characters named Credo and Kyrie, and spent a lot of time being bullied by other kids who liked to claim that Nero's mom was a prostitute. That's a claim that might actually be accurate, but when it comes to Nero's parents, there are worse things to be. As he got older, Nero eventually joined the Order of the Sword, which is, for all intents and purposes, the militant Sparta-worshipping devil-hunting cult that governs Fortuna. While on a mission, Nero was attacked by demons, which injured his arm, and while he waited for it to heal, it slowly started to change, which at first he thought was an infection, but later realized was a manifestation of demonic power. He trained in secret to wield that power, and much like a lot of young men, he got very skilled at only using one hand for things. It's during this time in Fortuna that Nero meets Dante, and Dante recognizes that Nero is part demon, and he isn't exactly sure how or why until he sees Nero's demon arm react to the Vergil's sword. Throughout DMC4, we see Nero and Dante develop a mutual respect for one another, and Nero's entrusted with the Yamato. Oh, right, I guess we haven't discussed that yet. Devil May Cry is known for its weapons, with most characters wielding numerous weapons, some of which have become their primary iconic weapons, and some of which get thrown out over time. As the main character of the franchise, Dante has gone through the greatest collection of weapons, but his main is the Rebellion, a sword gifted to him by his father. The Rebellion eventually shatters, and Dante reforges it into his own personal devil arm, the Devil Sword Dante. I'm going to use the word devil arm a couple of times, just know that all that means is a weapon made out of a demon. He also tends to rock a pair of custom pistols named Ebony and Ivory, which were designed to not shatter from how much and how quickly... Motherfucker, I dropped my phone. Which were designed to not shatter from how much and how quickly Dante tends to pull his triggers. In contrast, Vergil primarily uses a katana called the Yamato, which is capable of opening portals. Trish uses a massive sword called the Devil Sword Sparta. Lady uses guns, primarily a rocket launcher named after her mother, the Kalina Ann. And Nero tends to use a sword with a fuel injection system known as the Red Queen, alongside a twin-barrel revolver called the Blue Rose. And that's not even mentioning the Devil Bringer, which is what Nero calls his big-ass demon arm. Eventually, following the Fortuna incident, Nero received a gift from Dante, a big blue neon Devil May Cry sign, which kinda signified Dante's blessing for Nero to open his own branch of the business. It's also the inspiration for my channel intro. Nero would also meet a young plucky gunsmith by the name of Nicoletta Goldstein and plan to take their new devil hunting business on the road. But before they got to do a whole lot with that, Nero was approached by a mysterious stranger who ripped the Devil Bringer off his arm before just fucking off into a portal. This left Nero in an unfortunate spot. While he was used to fighting one-handed, he'd also gotten used to the power that the demon arm gave him. However, the nerf didn't stop Nero from going to fight the demon who took his arm, which ended with a tragic loss and Dante coining the whole deadweight meme. It's eventually Nico who came up with a solution to Nero's problem. The Devil Breakers, prosthetic arms made from demon corpses and Nico's own mechanical genius that contain special powers, leveling the playing field once again. Nico named them that in part because they're great for breaking devils, but also because Nero's aggressive fighting, their immense power, and their haphazard construction means they break easily. Nero's main plot focus in DMC5 involves him learning the truth. Vergil is his father, Dante is his uncle. This led to Nero's whole sense of self being kind of flipped on its head, knowing that Dante only ever wanted him out the fight so he wouldn't have to kill his own father, and knowing that after all the years believing he was alone, Nero genuinely had a biological family left. This led Nero to successfully be one of the only people in history to get Dante and Vergil to not kill each other, and that's effectively where his story ends. Personality-wise, Nero is most often described as angsty. Often he feels like the perfect blend of Dante and Vergil's most important characteristics, which makes a lot of sense when you think about it. Like Vergil, he is serious, introspective, and antisocial, but like Dante, he's rebellious, sarcastic, and cocky. On top of all that, Nero is incredibly emotionally driven, which applies to both his hot temper and his caring nature towards anyone he shares true kinship with. And one of my favorite traits, despite all of these games being M-rated, Nero is one of the only characters in DMC who regularly swears. So overall, we're looking for moody, noble, snarky, and a bit crass. Looking once more into the realm of Titans, I've always loved the way Ryan Potter plays Beast Boy. He's fun first and foremost, but often got the chance to dip his toes into the tragedy at the heart of the character. However, I don't think he really got the chance to have the edge that I'm looking for in a Nero. But you know what's a genre with a lot of edge? horror, which DMC has always borrowed a bit of the DNA from. And there is a young actor who's been working in that genre for quite a while, been a part of multiple mega hit franchises, and fits with everything I'm looking for in a Nero, and his name is Ty Simpkins. Ty has been acting basically since he was born, and I'm sure a lot of you recognize him from one or more of those mega hit franchises, having single film appearances in both the Iron Man and Jurassic World series, as well as a leading role in the Insidious films. He was also in a music video for Logic, and he was in The Nice Guys, both of which get bonus points from me. Simpkins has had a lot of chances to play both moody and fun, and he's in the right age range, so I think he could pull it off. But let's break the character of Nero down to just these things. A moody, cocky orphan in a leather jacket, wielding a gun and carrying around a lot of daddy issues and a strange relationship with the supernatural. Who does that sound like? Oh, that's right, Red Hood. So guess who's back in the video? My winner is Curran Walters. Every single quality you want out of Nero already exists in his take on Jason Todd. And from everything I can gather, Walters really wants to keep playing that character. So since it doesn't seem like James Gunn is too eager to keep his version of Red Hood around, Curran, buddy, I got a part for you. So that's it. The 5 highest profile playable DMC characters. Sorry Lucia, you're not invited to the cookout, and V is honestly a pretty minor role all things considered. But I do have one more character I want to cast, and it is easily one of my favorites in the entire DMC canon, and I'm pretty sure you can guess exactly who it is.
What happened?
You want the long version or the short version?
Short?
Shit's fucked.
Okay, long.
Shit's very fucked.
A lot of you are probably wondering, why Nico? Because she's amazing and hilarious, no more questions, motherfucker. In all seriousness, I think Nico fills an important function in the DMC story. She's human, more so than anyone else. While most of the humans we know in this franchise are cultists or fellow demon hunters or fucking Morrison.
My dearest friend, I know you'll keep this safe because them crazy bitches. Did I say crazy bitches? I'm sorry, I meant ladies. Anyway.
They all tend to be a bit desensitized to the world around them. It's kind of becoming a problem with a lot of superhero stories, where everyone is accustomed to the crazy shit happening around them, even when it's relatively recent in universe. Without the perspective of a real human, there's no such thing as a superhuman. And that's the role Nico fills. She reacts to the situation like a normal person, like the person playing Devil May Cry. Nero almost gets hit by the van, and Nico calls him a dumbass for just standing there. Dante does a goofy little dance after getting his new hat weapon, and Nico is the only one who laughs and cheers. Hell, she's the only one who acknowledges the dance at all. She grounds this ridiculous-ass series in a way I really like, and beyond that, I think she's a pretty great character. Nicoletta Goldstein is the granddaughter of Nell Goldstein, the blacksmith who created Dante's beloved pistols, Ebony and Ivory. She's also the daughter of Agnes, a secondary villain from DMC4. Both of these add up to Nico's weird sense of having always been there, despite only appearing in the franchise for the first time in its most recent installment. Nico grew up tinkering and studying the Order of the Sword, both of which would eventually land her on Nero's doorstep, and she kinda wriggled her way into his life, and more importantly, his branch of Devil May Cry, acting as the engineer and gunsmith, and eventually just as general field support. Nico's narrative presence in DMC5 isn't too grand or important, honestly. If anything, she's the Devil May Cry equivalent of Brock and Sindri in God of War 2018. A named NPC with a foul mouth and a fun accent who facilitates your upgrades and occasionally appears in cutscenes to provide some comedic relief. Personality-wise, Nico reminds me a lot of Rogue from the X-Men. Cheeky, southern, having the time of her life. Nico is also a gearhead, as evidenced by her constantly being around to offer up new weapons and upgrades, but also because she genuinely gets really excited at the prospect of making things to blow shit up. She's very self-serious about her craft, and she views all of her weapons as works of art, reveres anyone who's capable of genuine quality craftsmanship, and immensely respects Dante, the guy who's usually using that craftsmanship. Nico also has the capacity to be more serious and empathetic, although those moments are kinda rare, and even when she is being nice, she usually still finds a way to crack a joke. And as for her relationship with Nero, I read it as similar to Dante and Lady, although I find Nero and Nico to be a bit closer. Less co-workers and more like siblings. So we need someone who's down to earth, excited, fun, and almost manically obsessed with making weapons of mass destruction, but also sisterly and kind. And while this is a little tricky, Nico is described in-universe as having dark skin, which I think is a bit of a reach. She's got a light tan at most. I can't find anything credible regarding her ethnicity, though her last name suggests German-Jewish descent, but her father does have a bit of a darker complexion. Doesn't really matter since my final pick was someone with darker skin rather than just Caucasian, but I just thought I should mention it. Now I know this is a total Stan Twitter pick, but I think Haley Steinfeld is just one of those actors who can do a lot of different things, and she's already done some of them before. The gearhead aspect and general somberness of Charlie Watson, mixed with the pluckiness and enthusiasm of Kate Bishop, would serve her well. In that same vein, I think if you mixed a little bit of Max's attitude with Darcy's demeanor, Kat Dennings would do pretty well here. Trouble with them is I am not as confident in them doing a Southern accent. However, I did mention another Southern character earlier, that being Rogue. And while this actress might not have played Rogue directly, she is the subject of a pretty large Fancast campaign, and did have a role in one of my favorite movies of the decade where she played a spunky, hustling sister character. So please, 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 if they ever get to the plot of DMC5 in a live-action adaptation, give us Keke Palmer as Nico, because she has everything. The Southern accent confirmation was honestly just a bonus to me, because Emerald in Nope is everything I want from Nico. She's not just fun, she is electric in a way that I adore. Her first scene where she gives this whole awkward spiel to essentially sell herself and her brother before just going down this list of shit she's capable of to hopefully try and get a job, all while being blissfully unaware that she is not being taken seriously. That's pure Nico right there.
What word has the most letters in it?
Pneumono ultramicroscopic silicone volcanoconiosis.
Mailbox.
Alright, one more run back just for fun. Boyd Holbrook and Dacre Montgomery as the older and younger Dante, Jonathan Groff and Will Poulter as the dual time frames of Vergil, Allison Williams as Trish, Mary Elizabeth Winstead and Natalia Dyer as both ladies, Curran Walters as Nero, and Keke Palmer as Nico. That is my ideal Devil May Cry cast. And I mentioned a few times in this video that I do have an explanation for why I cast some of these characters as younger and older, and you can find that explanation on my Patreon. I made a companion piece to this video that delves into how you can break down the different pieces of Devil May Cry source material to create a faithful and engaging live-action interpretation for general audiences, made as both a fan and as someone who's pretty wired into how a smart studio would handle this kind of adaptation. And as a treat, here's a brief clip from that video.
Next, we have Devil May Cry 2, which is an adaptation of DMC4. I know, the three of you who care about DMC2 just cried out in agony, but it doesn't add much to the narrative and isn't very good beyond this one scene. I was going to be the king of this world!
King? Yeah. Here's your crown.
Hopefully you decide to check it out for the $5 and up tier on Patreon, and hopefully some movie studio with half a brain and some degree of courage gets the film rights to DMC and follows this outline. After all, not to toot my own horn, but I think that between that outline and this cast, they've got a pretty perfect template to show the world that even a devil may cry.
Thanks for watching this fancast of the characters of the Devil May Cry franchise.
And a special thanks to Omar, Christian, and Deverick for donating to the $10 tier on Patreon.
If you like this video, please consider subscribing to Chimera Films on Patreon.
Patrons who donate $5 or more gain access to exclusive companion videos, such as the Devil May Cry movie pitch, out now. This is power.
And if you want to help out, go support the voice actors using the links down below.
Yeah, and go watch the videos on screen now to continue supporting the channel. Trust me, this guy's content is a total
Don't you dare say it!
jackpot.